देवी पूज्य पद कमल तुम्हारे, सुर नर मुनि सब होए सुखारे। देवी पूज्य पद कमल तुम्हारे, सकल मनोरथ सफल हमारे। जय श्री अम्बे जय जगदम्बे, जय श्री अम्बे जय जगदम्बे। श्री माँ जय माँ जय जय माँ, श्री माँ जय माँ जय जय माँ, श्री माँ जय माँ जय जय माँ। जय जय श्री अम्बे जय जगदम्बे, जय श्री अम्बे जय जगदम्बे। श्री माँ जय माँ जय जय माँ, श्री माँ जय माँ जय जय माँ, श्री माँ जय माँ जय जय माँ।
Like so many miracles, like so many mysteries, Neem Karoli Baba and Sri Siddhi Ma entered my life long before I became aware of their divine presence. I remember it was the late 1970s and I was working on my PhD thesis that looked at the socio-economic implications of a decade of Indira Gandhi's term as Prime Minister. In those days, I would visit my professor, Dr. Mishra, a philosopher and a great lover of books, in a simple two-room house. It was a bare house with no shelves, and so his books, covered with dust, were piled in every corner, much like wooden logs. Invariably, I would sneak some time out from the dry academic work to look at these, handling them with the same thrill I experienced as a child playing treasure hunt games. It was here one day, in a forgotten book, that I found a picture of Neem Karoli Baba. Memories flooded in. I was instantly transported to the early 1960s when my mother and I would go on frequent visits to Kenchi, a small hamlet about 20 kilometers from Nainital, where Baba Maharaj had his ashram. As we would cross the wooden bridge over the Shipra river, the sounds of the Hare Rama Hare Krishna Kirtan would stream into our ears, mingled with the intermittent sound of bells accompanying the temple prayers. Hill women who had travelled from far in rickety buses, their heads covered decorously, would enter the ashram gates and first offer prayers at the temples on either side of the main courtyard before making their way to Maharajji. It was a familiar sight to see Maharajji seated on his takhat in the veranda next to the Vindhyavasini temple, surrounded by his devotees. This motley group included seekers who had come from the West and who now wore Indian clothes. The 1960s, after all, was a time when, attracted by the Indian concept of sannyas, a huge mass of Westerners came to India in search of peace. Mixed up in this gathering were high-ranking officers, politicians, local women and rosy-cheeked children waiting for apples to be tossed to them by Maharajji. Questions were asked and many a time answers were given even before the questions were put forth. Blessings were sought and boons were bestowed. Dressed in a simple white dhoti with a blanket or a cotton sheet for a wraparound, Maharajji shunned any insignia which would set him apart as a saint or a sadhu. Many a time, as he reclined on his takhat, visitors would walk up to him and ask where they could meet Neem Karoli Baba. His simple reply used to be, मैं कोई बाबा को नहीं जानता. हनुमान जी के मंदिर में उनसे प्रार्थना करो. I do not know any Baba. Go to the Hanuman temple and pray to him. On other occasions, he would loudly proclaim, मैं कुछ नहीं जानता. मैं तो प्रसाद वाला बाबा हूँ. I do not know anything. I am the Baba who gives prasad. Baba Neem Karoli, also known as Baba Neem Karori, was perhaps the most elusive embodiment of divinity in human form. Accepted and revered as the incarnation of Sri Hanuman, the son of Pavan, the god of wind, Maharajji too had the attributes of the wind. Sometimes he could be a gentle, soothing whiff, at other times a hurricane, a whirlwind. but always the bestower of life-giving breath. Nothing could bind him, no one could define him. As we devotees believe, he had no beginning, he has no end. There can be no biography of him, wrote his devotee Anjani in the blurb of his renowned disciple Ram Das's book Miracle of Love. Facts are few, stories many. He seems to have been known by different names in many parts of India, appearing and disappearing through the years. Named Lakshmi Narayan at birth in the early 1900s, Maharaj Ji left his native village of Akbarpur in Uttar Pradesh as a wandering sadhu when he was only 11 years old. As he travelled to various parts of India, he had come to be known by different names. For instance, he was known as Talaiya Wale Baba in Gujarat. This was because in Babania he was seen performing spiritual sadhana by the waters of a small lake. The women of the village, with brass pitchers on their head and veils drawn over their faces, would go to the lake to draw water and would often spot a young mendicant on the shore. On seeing them, Baba would dive into the water and remain submerged for prolonged periods. Also known as Tikonia Wale Baba and Handi Wale Baba over the years, Maharaj Ji then returned home to lead a householder's life for a few years, after which he left home again. Later, he was known as Baba Lachman Das in the remote areas of western UP. Eventually, after his stay in the village of Neem Karoli, he came to be known as Neem Karoli Baba. No one can tell which way the wind blew, but it appears that in the 1940s, from the plains of Uttar Pradesh, Maharaj Ji proceeded to the mountains of Kumaon. And with his arrival, the hills began to soon be dotted with Hanuman temples. An oft-asked question is, who was Neem Karoli Baba? Was he a mystic, an ascetic who aspired for and achieved the highest powers, the Siddhis? Was he one of those miracle sadhus so abundant in India? Or just a grandfather figure in the homes he visited, fondly called Hanuman Buju by the children of Kumaon? These varied questions perhaps have varied answers, for Maharaj Ji excelled in the art of deluding aspirants the moment they caught a glimpse of even a tiny ray of his infinite spiritual depth. If put to me, this question would have a simple answer. Maharaj Ji was divine love incarnate. I remember hearing this anecdote. One day, sitting in a gathering, he suddenly turned to ask an elderly lady, "तुम मुझको क्यों प्यार करते हो? Why do you have such love for me?" And then, before the baffled person could think of an appropriate reply, he himself answered, "क्योंकि मैं तुमको प्यार करता हूँ, because I have such love for you." His love was beyond the law of cause and effect. The incessant flow of his grace and compassion seemed to have had no reason and no season. My darshans of Maharaj Ji were limited to a dozen or more times when I visited the ashram in Kainchi with my mother in my younger days. At the time, the ashram comprised a few small temples and modest kutis with 1 or 2 rooms. While on most of these occasions, I remember Maharaj Ji seated on the takhat in the veranda. Sometimes we would be told that he was in the woods nearby. Mummy and I would then walk up a hill and find him sitting under a tree on a bed of wild grass, his coarse blanket carelessly draped around his shoulders. He would always greet us with questions. "Kahan se aaye? Kaun aaya? Where have you come from? Who all have come?" One specific incident is still vivid in my mind. It was raining that day and we reached Kainchi late. At that time, we were still unfamiliar with the mores of the ashram. We were told that there would be no audience today, since Maharaj Ji's bhog had been taken to his kuti and offered to him. Though disappointed, we accepted this and started walking towards the temples. Soon a messenger came running. "Maharaj Ji is calling you," he said. Mummy and I quickly followed him and he led us to the kuti. Maharaj Ji was sitting on the takhat and his bhog thali was placed in front of him. Smiling, He pushed the thali towards us and told us to eat the prasad. Mummy was initially hesitant to eat in front of Maharajji, but with great affection, he insisted that we must eat then and there. As I sat quietly beside my mother, with no idea of what a great blessing had been conferred upon us that day, Maharajji ruffled my hair and asked, "Ye kiski ladki hai? Whose child is this?" To explain this cryptic question that Maharajji posed, I have to go further back in time to the day Neem Karoli Baba came into our lives. My family usually spent the months of May, June and July in Nainital at our house there. The summer I was 7 years old, I remember we were having dinner at Prasad Bhavan one evening. I can still recall vividly the ivory walls and the wine-red carpet of the dining room. At the head of the table sat my Nanaji, who was visiting my mother and father on either side of him, after which came the next generation. As the youngest, my chair was at the very end of the table. At around 8 p.m. or so, my mother, who faced the entrance hall, suddenly got up from her chair, saying, "Baba Neem Karoli has come." Her knife and fork clattered onto the dining table as she rushed towards the portico. All of us followed her, but there was no one there. My mother continued to insist that she had seen Maharajji enter through the main door. My father began to tease her playfully. "Now that you have started seeing visions of saints, you have become a saint yourself." After a little laughter, we resumed dinner. Things went on as usual. The next day, a telephone call came from the commissioner's residence informing us that Baba Neem Karoli would be visiting our house. In fact, we were told he was already on his way. This came as a complete surprise, as no one in the family was his devotee, even though Nanaji and Mummy had met him earlier at Bhumiadhar, close to Nainital. We were a traditional Hindu family. We observed all Hindu festivals. The Bhagavad Gita and worship of the Devi were of particular importance. But my father was averse to sadhus and ashrams. Mummy, on the other hand, would visit temples and pay homage to saints and sages she came to know about. When we got the news that Maharajji was coming, I observed everyone's reactions the way all children do, without judgment. My father wasted no time in announcing that he could touch a poor man's feet, but he would not bow down to any Baba. Mummy, trying her own way to convince him to offer pranam to Maharajji, got busy getting some halwa made for prasad. Soon enough, Maharajji's jeep stopped at our gate. We saw him almost jump out of the vehicle and he started walking up the steep gravel path leading up to the house, accompanied by a group of people. I still remember how briskly Maharajji walked, barefoot, an arresting figure in a dhoti and kambal. My parents were standing at the portico to receive him. There was some excitement in the air as to how my father would greet him. But within moments, he walked straight ahead and touched Maharajji's feet. We all followed him. Afterwards, Maharajji went into the drawing room and reclined on the sofa. I just have to close my eyes and I can see that sofa. It was beige, dotted with maroon chinar leaves, and Maharajji reclining on it. One of his devotees who was sitting near his feet entered a state of samadhi. This was followed by a brief silence. Then my father said, "Baba, aaj bahut dinon baad aapko dekha. Baba, today I am seeing you after a long time." This was a little unexpected. We were all taken by surprise at this. Maharajji replied, "क्यों? कल रात तो मैं यहाँ आया था. कौने ना देखा?" He pointed to Mummy. "तैने देखा?" "Why? I came here last night. No one saw me. She saw me." We were stunned because Mummy had indeed seen him the night before. Turning to my father, Maharajji asked him, "तैने मुझे कब देखा? When did you see me?" We watched in bewilderment as my father replied, "Baba, मैंने आपको 1933 में देखा। आपने मेरी रक्षा करी। मैं अलीगढ़ मुस्लिम यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ता था। मेरे दोस्तों ने एक मोर मार डाला। वहाँ के गांव वाले डंडे लेकर हमको मारने दौड़े। हम सब भागे, मगर मैं पीछे रह गया। पास में एक मंदिर था, आप वहाँ खड़े थे। आपने मंदिर का दरवाज़ा खोल के मुझे अंदर छिपा दिया और गांव वाले आगे निकल गए। बाबा, I saw you in 1933. I was studying at the Aligarh Muslim University. My friends killed a peacock. The enraged villagers chased us with sticks. All of us tried to flee, but I got left behind. There was a temple nearby. You were standing there. You opened the temple door and hid me inside. The villagers went ahead. After this conversation, Maharaj Ji was offered halwa prasad and fruit, which he happily distributed to all those present. This was followed by tea, so the gathering shifted to the dining room. Maharaj Ji then got up and went into the glazed veranda, now the library, on one side of the house. My mother followed him and I followed my mother. We sat on the floor close to Maharaj Ji. He spoke to Mummy about my father's diabetes, which none of us had mentioned to him. Commending Mummy on her piety, he ran his fingers through my hair in a playful way. Smiling, he told her, "Ye meri ladki hai. This child is mine." This was the answer to the question he used to ask me every time I went to Kainchi after that. In later years, when I was living with Sri Siddhima in Kainchi, I often asked her why Maharaj Ji had visited our house that summer, as none of us were his devotees then. For me, it was now distressing to look back and see Maharaj Ji walking barefoot on the pebbled path. We had not welcomed him in the traditional way with Aarti and Puja as is normally done. No separate asan had been provided for him. We were just very, very happy he had come. So again and again I would ask her, "Ma, why did he come?" First her silence, then her beautiful smile, and finally the words, "Tere liye aaye." He came for you.
जय जगदम्बे जय श्री अम्बे जय जगदम्बे श्री माँ जय माँ जय जय माँ श्री माँ जय माँ जय